One possible misconception, maybe you can tell more about that, is that some guys who are in their 40s and older, considering SMP with long hair, maybe they had done hair transplants too, but they're already in their 40s, they are about to start graying soon, or they're already maybe experiencing some form of graying, and they're like, SMP is just for people who are young, no graying, because then what happens is they pigment all this, and then the hair starts growing gray, and then we see the huge contrast between the darker pigment, because my hair used to be dark before, but now it's gray. So will this be a problem?
I don't see that being a problem. The reason, well, it's not a problem at all, because again, what we're creating here, for example, there's two things here, right? Shaved head and long hair, right? So let's stick with shaved head firstly, right? So I've personally got grays around the sides of my head, but when I trim it down, I only see the shaft. That's the hair, but the shaft itself, the actual hair follicle within the skin is grayscale probably, right? Like a light grayscale. So that's what we're replicating. And even with a few days growth, even if you've got a few grays on the top of your head, right? Because I've had a transplant, obviously luckily the hair's still quite black from the top, right? Even if you do see some grays sticking through the SMP, it probably gives it more of that salt and pepper look, which is a good look. And if anything, it probably looks more realistic because you've got a salt and pepper look. If you got a client with a full head of grey, then you've got the same situation as a full head of blonde, where you can apply the pigment, which gives it more of that salt and pepper look. It kind of sometimes not overpowers the grey, but improves the grey slightly to give that kind of illusion.
That could be also length dependent, right? If the hair gets then maybe like my length or even longer, then maybe the client should again take care that most of that gray hair will remain like visible. Otherwise, if you lose more of that gray hair, more of the darker surface underneath will be uncovered, and thus the more you will be forced to cut it shorter and trim it to make it look more natural. Would it be true?
Yeah. You need to be kind of flexible. You need to make it work for you.
Yeah,
just like any hair restorations have,
So you can consider SMP even as an older guy when even your goal is to try to keep the hair, but you better keep that hair at that quality you have today. Otherwise, you will not be so flexible anymore, and then SMP may actually shine through that more naturally because your hair is falling out.
I've said, I've done guys in their semis, and majority with the shaved head, but that's what we obviously primarily deal with. But I think that's probably the least of your worries.
Yeah, if I've seen those results, they look quite amazing. With the shaved head, like older guys, it looks very, very natural. Yeah, I just also did not see many of those older guys with gray hair longer with SMP underneath. I don't know why is that. Maybe because people have also not seen many of those results online, and they are skeptical and they don't know whether it's going to look good.
Majority of SMPs are done with the shaved heads. Probably 70% of what we're doing are shaved heads, and that's two reasons. One, because they've shaved their head for the procedure, and one because they will just like to keep a shaved head.